Hello everyone, welcome to our QFAA interview series. Today we are very honored to have our guest, Alex Jie. Alex is our graduate class of 2008, so he is the number 2 batch of the QF
Indeed.
program. And today it is a very interesting topic because we'll be talking about academic career in finance as well. So thank you, Alex. Thanks for being our guest.
Thank you so much for having me today, Shiho.
Yes.
Much appreciated.
So maybe to start with, can you maybe help us to understand your bit background, where you grew up and where you go to school, and also after UST, how's your journey?
Yeah, definitely. So I was originally born in Hong Kong. I did my primary school, secondary school here, so I'm very local. And then I attended the QF program in UST in 2005. So holy moly, 20 years ago already. I finished in year 2008. And then after that, I went to the UK to do a 1-year master program in financial math. And then after I finished the master program, I returned to Hong Kong to work as an equity derivatives trader in an Australian bank for almost like 3.5 to 4 years.
Sure.
And then after that, I quit my job to explore some new opportunities. And then I end up doing a PhD in statistics in the UK again. And ever since then, I have been mainly working around the academia, maybe changed several institutions. And currently, I end up as an assistant professor in a London university.
Wow, okay. And how about family? Are you married? Do you have children?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So my wife, Candy, she is actually also the same cohort as me.
Yes.
And based on Shiho, I think we are maybe the first couple in the QF program. Maybe.
I think it probably still is.
Yeah. Let's try to figure it out whether it's true. And then, so yeah, so obviously we know each other for like 20 years already. And then we got married in year 2019, and now we have a son of 2 years old.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's great. And is your son in London now, or?
So my son is now currently in Hong Kong.
Okay, got it. So very interesting. I think Alex and Candy, I think we know them the first couple back in the study.
Yeah, back in the study. So yeah, we know each other pretty well since day one of the program. So yeah.
Wow.
Long story.
Yeah, really the QF baby and QF couple.
Indeed, yeah.
Okay, great. So that's the basic background, and I guess maybe for most of the audience interest, why did you pursue the academic path after working in the industry for a few years?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. Actually, even like today, I'm still thinking whether I'm making the correct decision or not. I don't know for sure, but at least I'm happy. So I think the main reason I am choosing the research/academic path is that I think at the time when I'm about to finish the QF program, I already got some interest in some more technical quantitative research.
Sure.
So usually I find myself enjoying doing some coursework with heavier project component. For example, I remember towards the final year of our program, we need to do this it's some sort of final year project where we work in a group and we need to try to tackle some particular financial problems quite independently.
Yes.
And I think back then that's sort of like the starting point of why I sort of getting interest in
practicum, right?
Exactly. Yes. I almost forget the title because but I think it's a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
And then also back then, I also read a book. It's called My Life as a Quant by Emmanuel Derman. So back then he's like a quant. Goldman Sachs, and it's basically a bibliography. And then I was reading that book, and then it sounds pretty interesting of doing some sort of a finance related, but with a more heavier research focus.
Sure.
So that's just the main reason why I did my master in financial math after I finished the QF program, just to make sure I get a bit more extra skill sets related to some mathematics and computational skill set. So I was pretty happy about this, but then after I finished the master program, I also think about, okay, maybe it's also a good idea to accumulate some practical experience. So that's why I returned back to Hong Kong and work in trading for several years.
Got it.
Things went pretty okay. I enjoyed my work and also been really picking up a lot of new ideas and knowledge, and I feel really have a steep learning curve. But at some point, sometimes, for example, when I was trading, I found myself, okay, I really enjoy reading those technical quantitative manuals behind the trading
Papers,
model.
yeah.
So usually when there's a trading model, there's a lot of documentation, and I found myself, okay, I really dive into those very specific technical details, and then I realized that okay, maybe my interest at the end of the day is still more closer to those somewhat theoretical areas.
Sure.
And then also, I know that if I'm not doing a PhD at that time, maybe I'll be getting too old, too rusty to do any very technical kind of studies. So that's why I decided to quit my job to explore some new opportunities, and that's where I am here today.
Wow. Okay. So actually, the realization is when you are working in the industry, you realize
sort of, yeah.
you actually are more into the more theoretical part.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, I think at the end of the day, I've experienced both sides of the road. So
Definitely,
I
yeah.
think it's not for a certainty, but I feel comfortable working in academia.
Sure. Yeah, I guess one is you actually feel happier.
Indeed, yeah.
Right.
I feel good about this. Yeah, what I'm doing now.
Got it. So what is your current research focus, and maybe do you also teach, and what do you teach?
Oh, yeah, indeed. So in terms of research, so broadly speaking, I am working around applied mathematics, but with a particular application focus around economics and finance. So more specifically, I work on an area usually known as stochastic optimization. Pretty simply, it is about how to work out some optimal decision that people should be taking in a random environment over time.
Sure.
There are a lot of finance and econ problems exactly in this category, like portfolio allocation, right? Basically, you need to determine how much money to invest in different stocks over time, or electronic execution platform, you have a big order that you want to execute. So what is the optimal way to split a big order into smaller pieces to balance the execution and also the slippage costs, etc. So this is the rough area that I'm working on.
Got it.
And for my teaching, yes, even though I'm a research-based faculty member, teaching is also part of my duty. In the past, I've been teaching a pretty big variety of courses and programs. I've been teaching some business modules on econ and finance, usually related to investment. And in the last few years, I have been teaching a master course in financial math, which is related to algo trading, covering some machine learning theories of stochastic optimization, as well as reinforcement learning, or you can say AI.
Okay, got it. What is the difference between stochastic optimization versus normal optimization?
It's the
traditional macros portfolio optimization theory.
Yeah, there's some similarities, but for the stochastic optimization, so the emphasis that you are operating in a random environment, and usually you'll be observing some flow of information over time, like in finance, basically every day new information comes in, and then the key is that how you could make use of this dynamic flow of information to update your strategies over time. In contrast, usually the classical optimization is a bit more static. Exactly.
I see. So do your research actually go into the real algo which the bank uses, or how does it?
Yeah, so that's really good that you pointed this out. So very recently, I have been working on a project with a practitioner based in London. So that project is actually about automated market making of options. The rough idea is that we build a mathematical framework under this sort of stochastic optimization umbrella. And we set up the model in a way that so the algorithm would take for example, some market information accounts, for example, implied ball surveys, alpha signal, current inventory of the market makers, and then the algorithm will split out the optimal bid and ask levels placement strategies. So this is a collaboration with a practitioner.
Okay.
Initially, of course, like the starting consideration is perhaps a little bit closer to the academic side, but there's also now some follow-up project and plan to try to see if we could convert this kind of results into some actual market making engines at my collaborators' company. So hopefully I will have some more interesting things to update you in the near future.
Yes, I actually saw some of your LinkedIn posts.
Yeah, so that paper is actually published in a practitioner magazine called Risk.
Okay, got it. So let's talk more about like if people want to pursue academic, well, is it that necessary to pursue PhD to start with? Or MPhil is enough? How is usually the
so
career
let's
path?
say if you are specifically talking about like an academic job in university, like a research-oriented faculty member, then the short answer is yes, at least in the majority of the cases. For a lot of top-tier universities, usually most of the faculty members are research-based, so they would usually teach maybe quite a lot for some people, but at the end of the day, the main jobs is about research, so usually those kind of positions will require a PhD, so usually MPhil alone may not be enough. And even though there may be some faculty position more inclined towards teaching, but based on my understanding, the trend now is also for those kind of teaching-oriented positions, they may also start requiring PhD as a common requirement. Maybe the only exception is that perhaps, let's say, maybe in business school, there could be some teaching faculty members who have, let's say, prolonged industry experience, then they may engage in some executive education, and maybe in some case, those people, they may not need to have a PhD, but I would say 90% of the case that people need a PhD, and MPhil is usually not enough.
Okay. What is the, how do people actually, when do they determine whether they would go for the teaching stream in academia or the research stream, or is it switchable? I mean,
technically speaking, it is switchable.
Yeah.
Usually, towards the end of someone's PhD program, they may already got the feeling whether they enjoy doing like independent research more or they enjoy teaching more. Usually people make up their mind sort of towards the end of the PhD program because the job hunting strategies would also be a little bit different, right? Because for teaching, usually you need to display some sort of like a teaching portfolio, showcase your teaching philosophy, and this part is usually a bit less important for research-oriented staff.
Got it.
Yeah, it would be useful if someone could make up their mind as early as possible.
Also, because you're actually finding like maybe different types of role.
Exactly, or how you prepare before you even start making applications. So usually that will also make a difference.
But once you go into teaching, usually you won't switch back to research.
Based on my observation, you are right. So usually people doing the teaching, usually they will be happy staying there for a longer time.
How about the other way?
The other way, it happens, but it's also not really that common. So usually people would maybe sort of like make their choice at the beginning. Perhaps the exception is that maybe once a research-based faculty member is sort of like senior enough, then maybe they want to, like step down from those intensive research activities, and then they may sort of like take up a bit more teaching duties. But otherwise, I think people usually would make up their mind.
Also, once you go one path, you just continue.
Yeah, it's the norm. But,
I see. Interesting. Okay. So what are the pros and cons in working in academia? Because you've been in both sides. Yeah.
Right. So I think in terms of, let's say, the pros for working at the academic side, you would have quite a lot of agency as well as free time to pursue whatever you like. It's not like a corporate where you have some very well defined like reporting line. Of course, I mean like in university you also, well, technically speaking, usually have some kind of like manager as well.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you are not necessarily working for that particular manager, or to some extent you are not even like working for your university. For your research, usually you do research to build up your own personal reputation. You are not necessarily representing like the whole university. Of course, like there's also some compulsory duties like teaching and admin stuff, but at least for research-based staff, most of the activities are surrounding their own interests. So
actually building your own franchise instead of building the franchise for the university.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like the company you work for.
Yeah.
You're basically working for the company, right? Selling your time to the company.
Exactly, like people know me by my name, by my activities.
But not your university.
Not necessarily linked to the university at the back. So some people will find this aspect quite attractive because you basically could just like do whatever you find interesting.
Sure.
But like it's just like the other side of the same coin.
Yeah.
The cons is that, well, it takes a little bit more self-discipline because no one is really closely monitoring what you're doing. And another aspect about academic research, which is a bit different compared to like a normal corporate job, is that your output of research is, how should I put it, is quite unpredictable. For example, like sometimes you work on a task, you may think that, okay, if I spend X amounts of effort, I can get this done. But research doesn't work exactly in this way, especially in some like more science or math related discipline. Like you could get stuck on a math or computation problems for like days and weeks or even months, right? And you could spend like 24/7 just working on it, but you're still not getting anywhere. So this is some kind of like an up and down that someone will need to get used to, especially if they don't really have this kind of academic mentality. So this is something that one would need to like get used to. And also because it's like for a similar concern, like for academic job, you may not have a very well defined like performance metrics or KPI. It's not really clear like how well you're doing. Of course, like you could measure your progress by research output, like how many papers you publish, how well you're teaching, but otherwise, sometimes your output is also not that tangible, so it is a bit hard to gauge your progress sometimes.
Interesting. How do you handle this like a feeling of loneliness? And, because I also did a dissertation in my master. I feel incredibly lonely when I'm doing it, and I totally felt that like trapped in like certain problem without progress.
Yes. I think.
How do you handle that?
So I mean, having some people, especially like in a close research community as yours to talk to would help a little bit. It's like I still remember like during PhD days, like well of course like during like the normal hours we are working, but like sometimes like in the evening we go to a pub, get some beer, and just just say something silly nonsense. Like,
so you have a peer
keep ranting about the lack of progress. So I think peer support is very important. As you mentioned, it's a very lonely business at the end. So it's make it even more important to have some
peer group,
mental support and peer group.
Got it. So how do maybe like normal students, because this academic path actually is takes a long investment time, right? 5 years in PhD. How do they actually know that they are suitable to pursue this path?
You mean from the perspective of the student, right?
Yeah, say for example.
So I think the bottom line is that you need to figure out, are you sort of like, do you have like the genuine curiosity of understanding something? And one good indicator whether you're able to do this kind of like a research-oriented career is that let's say if I'm talking about this to current students,
Sure.
imagine if you're doing a coursework with like a project component, which is a little bit more, let's say, open-end, where you don't really have well-defined answers for different questions. Are you enjoying figuring out the answer yourself by, for example, searching for the relevant papers, literature, or also try to come up with your own strategies to tackle a problem? The mentality to tackle unfamiliar open question is probably one of the most important aspects to see whether a person could survive a PhD program. So I think relate your experience to some project-based coursework is a pretty useful way to think about this. Otherwise, I think maybe one thing I should also mention is that maybe contrary to many people's thoughts, I don't think you once need to be super smart to pursue a PhD. Like, for example, I don't see myself as a smart person.
No, you are very smart. You got an academic level.
Yeah, but I can handle this mostly because I am interested in certain aspect of the problems.
Sure.
And I think once you got some curiosity, interest in something, then basically it will be enough to carry you through this academic journey. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a great suggestion. I mean, at least for people to evaluate whether they are suitable.
Right.
It's the worst case where you got stuck.
Yeah. So the worst choice I see people doing is like they think it's cool to do a PhD, but then at the end they hate it, and then they just get stuck with something miserable for like 4 to 5 years, which is not the best use of the time.
Great. Okay, let's switch topic. I think you are one of the earlier QF graduate who actually moved to London.
Yeah.
Right. You stayed there for what?
I think
10
so.
years?
Yeah. So let me count.
2014.
Yeah, it's probably I moved to there for my PhD in year 2013 or 14, so a bit more than 10 years already.
Yeah, before this like migration.
Yes.
Hong Kong. What are the pros and cons of working and living in UK?
Right, in UK. Okay. So I think UK in general. Let me talk about the good stuff first. I think space. Is for sure. Like
how large is your apartment?
It's decent enough that
you feel jealous about that.
Yeah, like decent enough that I could like walk around.
Okay.
In space to stretch my legs on my bed.
More than enough.
Got my own work room to do some work as well, and some.
Okay.
Yeah, but space is important.
Sure.
Also like outdoor area, a lot of green areas. Usually is quite good for family, and also I think if you're into some more like something a bit more like historical kind of vibe, I think UK and maybe in particular London is also very nice place to be around. It's very pretty, historical, and also if you're I have to emphasize that usually people would complain about British food, but I would say if you're into those like not necessarily British but European cuisine, you could actually got some pretty decent, nice European food at a pretty good price. Yeah. And then in terms of the cons, so I would say maybe especially for people living in Hong Kong who experience like how efficient the city could be, you may need to be prepared for some sort of like inconvenience aspect. For let me give you one example. Let's say transportation. Like I am not living close to the central London, so I usually need to maybe take train to commute, and maybe door to door is like 1 hour, which is not too bad. But the problem is that whether I could make this travel is fully conditional on the train being operational. Strikes, engineering work, and or just like mysterious reason the whole line got shut down. Think about this. What would happen if MTR Hong Kong Island line got shut down?
You got a big complaint.
You will be like on the headline tomorrow, or the CEO need to apologize or whatsoever. But people really like don't care. They won't get used to it. Weather could be, it's not really as bad as people think, but some people do not like the British weather.
The winter, right?
Winter especially, like a long, nice time, and it's a bit cold in general. But I think in exchange, you also got some pretty lovely summer times. So I think you
got
you
balance.
get some, you lose some. At the end. Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
okay. How do you have a problem maintaining like family ties back in Hong Kong?
Yeah, that's actually a good point, and I must confess that maybe I'm not like the most like a proactive kind of person to maintain like communication with a family or friends. Of course, you could also say that nowadays like people are more used to like talking to each other
Sure.
on like video call. So sometimes I message my family, make some video call, and also maybe one part of the perks of working in the academia is that I usually also have some chances to travel around to attend like conferences, research. So especially after COVID, now traveling has been getting a bit easier. So also I have my little boy. Now I've got even a better excuse of meeting family a bit more often.
I see.
So yeah, and nowadays I'm trying to make a bit more effort to visit Hong Kong a bit more frequently just to see family and friends. Yeah.
Got it. Do you plan to stay in the UK in long term or other countries?
Right. That's a good question. As of now, I enjoy living in UK. I don't have many complaints towards my life in the UK or in particular London.
Sure.
And I don't know. I'm open to opportunities actually. So I would be happy to stay in London, but when suitable opportunities come, especially around Asia, especially after these few years, I get a bit closer in contact with some academic community based in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So
Got it.
hopefully, if when suitable opportunities arise, then I don't know. Never say never.
So you're actually quite open.
I'm quite open
I see.
to
I see.
geographical location.
Interesting. How big is the QF alumni community in UK now? Do you guys gather?
Yeah, I didn't really count officially, but for the people from my cohort, so apart from myself, there is like also like two of my fellow classmates from my cohort in London now, and there's another one also in close proximity to UK. We are not in a big program, so I think percentage-wise, it's not a small community. And yeah, so we sometimes we meet up and have some dinners. And
I think actually across different cohort, there are one or two every year.
Yeah. Also, I know there are also a few more people from also different cohorts as well.
Yeah.
We never really have an official QF gathering. Hopefully, the QFAA could also make some initiative and then to advertise it, and maybe we could all be brought together.
Yeah, I mean, it actually makes sense, right? Because I think if you go to another country, it actually would feel better if you have a community of some sort, right?
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
In Hong Kong, maybe it doesn't make that much sense because you know everyone.
Indeed, right. Also, maybe there's some people who are relatively new to UK or London that may also maybe find some tips of how to settle.
Got it.
Yeah, but also,
Got it. Which city do you like the most in UK?
Well, I may be a bit biased, but but also, to be honest, I haven't really been to too many cities in the UK. But among the cities I have been to, I think I like Cambridge the most. I used to work around 2 years in Cambridge. I think 2 years is also a sweet spot, like long enough for me to explore the town, but not too long that I get bored of the place.
Got it.
I like it because it's very historical, especially for someone like me who work in academia. So Cambridge has still got this very strong atmosphere of this like academic feeling. I really like it, and I enjoy my 2 years of time abroad there.
Yeah, I should visit it next time.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, you should. Yeah, it's very pretty scenery.
Okay, got it. Okay, last part of our interview. What is the most memorable thing if you just remember about your HKUST days?
Okay. Not exactly tied to any like individual events, but if you ask me what I sort of like remember, I think the first thing is that
Your wife.
No. Of course, yeah, part of it. But apart from that, like a second important thing that I sort of recall is how close the cohort is. I don't know how many people we are having per cohort.
For now, it's about 40.
Okay.
Back in the days.
Back in the days, so yeah, we only got like
Yes.
20-ish people in my cohort, and I still remember like because we're a small cohort, so we are super close to each other.
Sure.
Maybe not like everyone will stick together, but it's like a pretty substantial subset of the group. We always like be I don't know, let's say work in the computer barn. We take like all this like 10 people take a lift together to LG7 to have the afternoon tea, or like we just like a whole big group march into the classroom and occupy the whole front 2 rows to sit. I think it's kind of like team spirit and this kind of synergy is one thing that I sort of really have a very deep impression. And maybe another thing is also I'm very surprised about like how much resource like the program has put into the QF program. For example, back in the days, we have those like team building events.
Sure.
We have this company research arranged by Ronnie.
Yes.
We have this Bloomberg certification. I must confess that maybe back in the days as a student, I did not appreciate enough of this initiative. But now I'm on the other side of the table, right?
Yes.
I'm now involved in the teaching. I know how difficult it is to like get some company to engage, to interact with students.
Sure.
So I'm now really like appreciate all this effort brought together by like Angela, Ronick, and all the stuff back in the days. Yeah.
Okay, wow, that's interesting. I think I had a similar feeling about that cohort unity.
Right.
It's very memorable, and they become your best friends in life.
Indeed, yeah.
So how's the connection in general with amongst your cohort after graduation?
Yeah, I think in general it's still in pretty close connection with each other. Like my case is a bit different because now I'm sort of like based in London, so like geographically I'm very far from the rest of people. But as far as I know, like people still have some regular gathering. I think like. For example, I think like every Christmas, I always like see from the WhatsApp group that they are arranging some activities,
within their own cohort.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's very.
I think they're still having this Christmas party like every year. Of course, like not everyone will be joining, but I think there's still quite a pretty good subset of the people.
Well, that's amazing. I've never heard any other cohort who is doing like this annual type of gathering.
I think we're doing pretty well in this regard.
I see. That's a very good example, I think. Okay, got it. Okay. So our QFAA is only like 6 months old. With your experience in the university or seeing other alumni association, do you have any suggestions what we can do?
No,
we are still listening to suggestions and what we can do more.
I think you guys are already doing an amazing job. I think it's a really good initiative, and I think we should definitely leverage our growing community just to not only just to strengthen the connection among the existing alumni, but I think maybe as an educator, more importantly, also how to feedback our own experience to the current students. I think maybe like if we make some of the members of the alumni association to be approachable by the current students. Maybe they may have, let's say, like different questions related to different aspects of career. Maybe someone wants to have some advice from buy side, sell side, fintech, or in my case, like academic jobs. Then, if they have some pointers, which alumni they can approach, I think that would be something very valuable to the current students.
Okay. Great advice. We will think about how to do that. Okay. Last 2 questions. How do you relax?
Good question. I'm just thinking. Actually, there's one minor downside of working in academic job that I've already mentioned just now is that like the boundary between your work and personal life is getting a little bit blurred. So sometimes like. It's a bit crazy if I say I read some academic papers to relax. But maybe a couple of days. Maybe it's like some years ago. one of my hobbies, which is maybe a little bit strange from someone like me, but I quite enjoy like playing video games. It's not someone.
No, it's not strange. I think
It's
I think
probably
it's very
something a
common.
bit strange. Yeah, but I did it quite a lot, like at least like maybe in the last few years. But I think now like I'm getting old, reaction time is not as good as before. So I'm not finding myself enjoying this that much
Video
anymore.
game, okay.
Yeah.
I
And
see.
then otherwise,
see.
during the weekend, I don't know, just like doing some housekeeping stuff, or learning some like I don't know gardening on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, apparently you have a very big.
No. But it's just like in the UK, like you don't have like domestic helpers to get you, so like you need to do all the stuff on your own. So like you need to know how to fix all the things yourself. So
Interesting. So you're very skilled in every
no,
aspect.
I'm still learning. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. How do you manage your own investments as a finance professor?
Right. As a lot of students ask me about this, and it's just feel very shameful. Like okay, first of all, I did not use any mathematical theories, no machine learning, no AI, no market-based portfolio selection. I just use my instinct. I just like I randomly pick some stocks, ETFs that I like, which is probably very under diversified, and then I just go in, I put my money there, and I don't look at it anymore.
So you are a long-term investor.
A long-term investor. I just put my money in, don't look at it for like 5 or 10 years.
I guess one reason is because you need to pay capital gain tax, right? In UK. If you trade very regularly, you actually need to pay more tax.
Also on the other hand is to minimize my emotional damage.
I see.
And seeing the up and down with the market. Yeah. This is a behavioral story.
Maybe that's the best advice to students and to others for your personal investment. To trade less.
Trade less, minimize your own regret.
Okay, that's great. I think that's the end of today's interview. So I don't actually know anyone else in the community who is in the academic area like Alex. So if anyone has interest to connect with Alex, I think Alex can be reached on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely.
If you want us to help you connect to Alex, we are always happy to do that. So leave a message or contact QFAA EXCO if you want. So
yes, please feel free.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much, Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.